Let's move on to the next argument. Argument 3. Matthew 25:46 says, everlasting punishment. Matthew 25:46. Jesus says, then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life. Here's my response. Okay, the argument here is that, well, it says eternal punishment. If people only suffered a little bit in hell, and then they went out of existence, it wouldn't be eternal punishment. It would only be finite punishment. It would be a temporary punishment. And yet the Bible here clearly says the punishment is eternal. So, open and shut case, right? The Bible teaches eternal torment. Well, first, notice that Matthew 25:46 contrasts eternal punishment with eternal life. If the eternal punishment meant people being alive, conscious, to be tortured forever and ever, everyone would have eternal life, as I said earlier in this talk. The only difference between the kind of eternal life Mother Teresa has and the kind of eternal life Adolf Hitler has is where they are. You know, Mother Teresa's over here in the good place, and Adolf Hitler's over here in the bad place. But they both have eternal life. They're both alive, and they're alive eternally. So even within this verse, and this is why when you listen to Chris Date's debates with traditionalists, he uses all of the passages we're going to be talking tonight as a positive, as part of his positive case for annihilationism, because with almost no exception, they all actually support conditionalism or annihilationism better. And this is one of those passages. You have one group that has eternal life and one group that doesn't have eternal life. And yet if you have people being tortured forever, everybody, they have eternal life too. They just have a low quality of life. Secondly, for the punishment to be eternal, there doesn't need to be eternal punishing. For the punishment to be eternal, there doesn't need to be eternal punishing. Look at I got all of these examples from I either got these from Brother Bird's book Holy Smoke or Edward Fudge's Fire that Consumes. But one of these authors, whoever I got it from, it's been a while since I've made the slide. I make a whole bunch of these in advance. But Fudge or Bird lists several terms prefaced with eternal, and yet you don't have an ongoing process. For example, you have eternal salvation. Hebrews chapter 5, verse 9, quote, and having been made perfect, he, Jesus, became to all those who obey him the source of eternal salvation, end quote. Now, is Jesus going on in an unending process of saving us? Does he never get done saving us? Are we, is a trillion years from now, is Jesus still going to be sanctifying me? No. 2, eternal redemption. Hebrews 9:12, quote, and not through the blood of goats and calves, but through his own his own blood, he entered the holy place once for all, having obtained eternal redemption, end quote. Is there an eternal redeeming process going on here? Thirdly, eternal judgment. Hebrews chapter 6, verse 2. Of instruction about washings and laying on of hands, and the resurrection of the dead, and eternal judgment. 4, eternal destruction. 2 Thessalonians 1:9, quote, these will pay the penalty of eternal destruction away from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power, end quote. 5, eternal punishment. Matthew chapter 25, verse 46, which is what we just read. So there's several eternal things that happen in God's plan of redemption. You have eternal salvation, eternal redemption, eternal judgment, but for some reason, It's only this that requires an ongoing process of punishing. But this doesn't require an ongoing process of saving. This doesn't require an ongoing process of redeeming. This doesn't require an ongoing process of judging. This doesn't require an ongoing process of destroying. In his book, The Fire That Consumes, since I followed up with a quote from this book immediately, I maybe probably got these from Fudge. Fudge says, quote, Edward Fudge says, quote, "We have seen this in regard to eternal salvation, not an eternal act of saving, eternal redemption, not an eternal process of redeeming, eternal judgment, not an eternal act of judging, eternal destruction, not an eternal process of destroying, and eternal punishment, not an eternal act of punishing. This punishment, more specifically identified as this destruction, will last forever. Those who are punished with everlasting destruction will cease to exist," end quote. Thirdly, both traditionalists and conditionalists believe the punishment is eternal. The disagreement simply comes in what the punishment consists of. There are two types of punishments. There's torture, there's, physical punishment, beating someone or spanking someone or hitting someone with lashes, and you could do that for X amount of time, and you could say that's your punishment. You're going to get 40 lashes. The punishment is pain. Maybe, pain for an X amount of time. That's one kind of punishment. That's the kind of punishment, that's the kind of eternal punishment the traditionalist believes in. There's another kind of punishment, too. Capital punishment. Capital punishment is punishment. No one disagrees with that. No one disagrees that when a murderer is put in the electric chair and his life is deprived from him, that he's been punished. Being killed as a result of your crime is a punishment. And it's an eternal punishment because God's never going to bring the annihilated wicked back into being. They're going to be dead in both body and soul forever. So you can't just look at the phrase eternal punishment and draw the nature of that punishment out of that phrase. You've got to look at the context, both of this verse and the Bible as a whole. And as I said, even in this verse, you have a hint of the nature of the punishment, because if it was an eternal infliction of pain by God, then why are only those who are in the redeemed group? Why are they the only ones said to have eternal life?